Yo guys, Anboni here, and let's go over the PvP talent calculator for Shadow Priest in Legion. We went over, like you can check my old videos, I went over the basic changes, I went over the normal class talents. Now it's time to go over the PvP talents, and if this video doesn't drag on for fucking half an hour, I'll go over the artifacts as well, because this one's really fast, I imagine. So let's start with it. I think I'm not even sure like how you get these. Didn't they say like as soon as you level you're gonna get like the first row, and then you get this row, and then you get this row? I think that's how they meant it. But anyway, let's just go over them. So we have Gladiator's Medallion, which is basically the PvP trinket. I hope they're gonna nerf the human racial, otherwise humans are gonna have this on top of something else. So this is the best, like I'm calling it right now. For Shadow Priest, this is the one to go for. Adaptation is at a full loss of control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or longer. No, it says sorry, I'm an idiot. So all full loss of effect. So this one says all full loss of control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or longer will be removed shortly after being applied. Shortly, so not instant. This effect has a 1.5 minute cooldown. I see no instance when you might want to go this instead of this, except for PvE. In PvE you'll go either this or Relentless, maybe. But probably adaptation is the best for PvE. Like if you go this in PvP, then wait, you can't even use PvP talents in PvE. What the hell? Why do we have this? Like if you want to kill a healer and you want to bait his trinket and he has this shit, then okay, you just sheep him. He trinkets this because he has no choice, and then you freaking kidney shot him for an hour and kill him. This is really bad. Relentless is duration of incoming crowd control effects reduced by 25%. This is good for some classes that can also stack this talent with other passives they have, like arcane mages, which have mage armor still. That reduces the duration of magic effects on them by 25%, I believe. So it's gonna be it definitely is gonna be really good for them to go Relentless, because they also have Ice Block and they also have Blink to break stuns. So for some classes Relentless might be really good, but for us it is the good old PvP trinket. Alright, next up, the first two tiers are the same for every class, by the way. So we got Train of Thought, damage increased by 15%, being attacked will cancel this effect for 8 seconds. This is pretty shit for us because we're gonna probably get trained a lot. This is really good for like a rogue or a mage or a rogue mage team, which have insane strong openers. But for us this is bad. Mind Quickening is the way to go for a lot of classes, including us. It's just a passive haste buff. Haste is really good for us in Legion apparently, so haste it is. Initiation Critical Strike increased by 30% on targets at or above 80% health. I don't really like this too much. It doesn't really matter if you get a target at 80%. What matters if it matters more to get the target, from 80% to 50% rather than from 100 to 80. So I think this one's pretty bad. Maybe it's good for openers again. Maybe not. No, this one's better for openers. I don't know what this is for. Okay, here we go into Shadow Priest specifics, and this one on the third tier is the best. Maybe the last one is the best. Alright, so we got Void Shield, which is insane. Void Shield says all damage you deal heals you for 50% of the damage dealt for 5 seconds after casting Power Word Shield on yourself. Do you realize what this means? This is a 5 times stronger Vampiric Embrace just on ourselves, because fuck everyone else. And it has if Weakened Soul stays the way it is right now, it has an 8-second cooldown. And it lasts for 5 seconds. So this is insanely OP in PvP. This is really, really good. Plus, if you combine it with Void Lord, which is 40% increased healing when you're in Void form, that is pretty nuts. That is a lot of healing. So that means all your burst is gonna do a lot of healing. Your instant Void Bolt will heal you for as much as a Mind Blast. It's just out of control. Purify Soul, this is probably a bug. It says it's basically like a normal dispel like healers have, I don't think we're getting a dispel back because it says replaces purify, and we don't even have purify, so this is probably a placeholder for shadow. This can't be like yeah, we don't have purify, so this is not here. Actually, it doesn't exist. This one's pretty good if you combine it with, let me show you what it is. Fleeting Embrace reduces the cooldown of Vampiric Embrace by 2 minutes, but only affects up to 3 allies. Who cares about affecting all of our allies? Who gives a shit on a 3-minute cooldown? If you combine it with this, which says the healing from Vampiric Embrace is increased by 20%, actually it's just like I said in the other video. If this is 20% of the 10% and it becomes a 12%, then it's still shit. But if it's 20% on top of the 10%, and that means Vampiric Embrace is going to be a 1-minute cooldown with a 30% effect, it might actually be good. But it's still not as good as Void Shield. Void Shield just completely blows it out of the water. It's insane. I'm really hyped about this one. This is gonna make us really tanky if it stays the way it is. Too tanky maybe. Okay, Driven to Madness. Being attacked will grant you 5 insanity and it has a 3-second cooldown. Meh. It's just insanity generator. Void Origins, you gain 5 stack of Void Form when you enter Void Form. I have no idea what Void Form stacks are. I have no clue. But there are talents like this one that says each stack of Void Form increases the damage of your Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch by 5%. So I have no idea what these stacks of Void Form are. So I'm going to like ignore this one. Plus, Edge of Insanity is just insane. Look at this. While at 100 insanity and not in void form, your damage is increased by 20%. So on top of your normal shadow form, it is just as good as insanity, if not better. You no longer enter void form instantly when reaching 100 insanity. Ooh, so it's not like you get into void form and then you're at 90 insanity and then all the mages around you say, oh look, a priest's about to hit his void form, let's sheep him for a year. No, now we can actually choose when we go into void form, which is really good for PvP, and it teaches you the ability Slip into Insanity, which allows you to enter void form and can only be cast 100 insanity. So this means we can stay at 100 insanity whenever we want to go into void form. We go into void form. If we stay at 100 insanity, then this talent right here, Mania, is gonna permanently give us a 20% movement speed buff. It just all works really well. This is definitely 100% the best talent for PvP in this row, like no doubt about it. Alright, next up we got Mind Trauma. Mind Flay and Mind Sear apply Shadow Word Pain to target. I mean, Shadow Word Pain is instant anyway, but Mind Searing applied sounds interesting for RBGs when you have a lot of targets. So maybe there it might be good. Instead of like manually targeting everyone and putting Shadow Word Pain, you can just Mind Sear and boom, you have it on everyone. Shadow Mania is Vampiric Touch. Having Vampiric Touch on 2 or more targets grants you 3 insanity every 2 seconds. I don't see this being too good, but I might be wrong. I don't know. This is maybe in a PvE situation. If it were to stack, like if it said having Vampiric Touch on 2 targets grants you 3 insanity, and then every target after that you dot with a Vampiric Touch also gives you another 2 insanity per target. So if you had 3 targets, that would mean 5 every 2 seconds. If you had 4 targets, that would mean 7. Then it might be good for RBGs, but as it stands, I don't see it I don't see it being too good. Psychic Link. Mind Blast now deals 30% of its damage to all targets within 40 yards that are afflicted by your Shadow Word Pain. To be honest, none of these is really that amazing, but Psychic Link is probably the best. It's just more damage on the team, on the enemy. It's meh. If you combine this with the Mind Spike Burst of Mind Blast, that means you do a Mind Blast with 250% more damage, and 30% of that is pretty decent. So yeah, this might be good. I'm wondering if this actually applies to Void Bolt. Is it called? Yeah, Void Bolt. It might not. I don't know. But I'm gonna put this one. I'm not sure which one's the best. They all seem pretty bad. Alright, here we go. Are you guys ready for this one? The level 6 tier. This is good. Let's start with Last Word. silence applies last word when used on a target who is casting a spell. So if you use it as an interrupt, you get a debuff on the target. And increasing insanity generation and damage dealt when attacking the target by 20%. I mean, we don't know how long this buff will last, or rather debuff. It's probably gonna be as long as silence itself, and it's gonna be really good for like a super burst thing. Like I said in my other video, so let's say you have the Mind Spike talent, and then you get a 250% fatter Mind Blast. Then you instantly pop your Void form with your Edge of Insanity, and then you do an instant Void Bolt. Of course, well, you silence the target first, that's the idea. You silence them on a cast, you do 20% more damage, and then it's 250% more damage of a Mind Blast, and then it's a really fat Void Bolt, and then you can follow that up with 3 Shadow Word Voids. Yeah, that's a ton of damage with the 20% buff, but this is not going to be very good for PvP. What is going to be really good for PvP is Void Shift is back, boys. It's a 5-minute cooldown, so it might not be usable in arena, but I think it should. Like, it's a PvP talent, come on. So you and your it's basically the same. If you don't know Void Shift, I actually never played WoW. Well, I did play WoW, but I didn't play my priest when Void Shift was a thing. So it says you and the current target party or raid member swap health percentages, increases the lower health percentage of the two to 25% if below that amount. So if you're at 10% HP, you can just Void Shift someone at 100% HP, and boom, you're at 100% HP and they're at 25%. Or it goes the other way around. You know, if someone in your team is low, you can Void Shift and you swap HP with them. And then you have to be careful because the enemy team might swap for you and one-shot you. But they won't one-shot you because you can disperse. And this is actually the best here. Boom. Dominate Mind can now be used on players. I told you not to panic. And if you say, oh, well, it's always usable on players, isn't it? Well, no, because right now they changed Dominate Mind to where it doesn't work on players or mechanical. But with the normal talent Dominant Mind, you may also control your own character while Dominate Mind is active. That means you basically have a polymorph like this. An instant polymorph, might I add, because Dominate Mind is instant right now. It's not gonna stay instant, but yeah, the way it is right now, this build right here means we have an instant polymorph. RIP PvP, this is amazing. So if you're playing God comp, you're probably gonna play Void Shift because you don't need the extra polymorph. But if you play any other comp, then this is the way to go. And for solo PvP, this is the way to go, for sure. So let's go over artifact talents really fast because we still have some time. Now, I don't know exactly how many points you can put in these things. Can we get all of them? Can we just get like a couple? I have no idea how this works, but we're just gonna cover all of them. So let's start here with Void Torrent. This is the most interesting one in my opinion. It says raise your dagger into the sky and absorb nearby void energy, then release a torrent of void energy on your target, dealing 4 plus 800% of spell power damage over 4 seconds. And while channeling the spell, your insanity no longer gets drained, and it only works in shadow form. It has a 1-minute cooldown, it deals a shit ton of damage, and it is a channel, so it's kind of like a mind flay. It's nice, it's cool. The fact that it no longer drains your insanity means that you can, like, if you're waiting for something to give insanity back, let's say Shadow Word Void here, yeah. So you do some Shadow Word Voids and then you get almost that, you almost lose your Void form, then you can do Void Torrent. It also does a ton of damage, and then maybe with the damage it does, you can combine it with Shadow Word Death, and then just stay in Void form even longer, maybe kill your target. This one's really cool, I like it. Let's go this way. Each cast of Mind Blast increases the damage of your next Shadow Word spell by 5%, stacks up to 5 times. That means you're not gonna cast anything, any shadow spell for what, 9 times 5, I don't know math, like 45 seconds if you want to get the full effect, and the full effect is 25%. So yeah, this one's really bad. It's kind of like this, but it doesn't even compare at all. It's gonna be changed probably. It's really bad. This one says, when psychic horror is removed from the target, they are snared by 30% for 4 seconds. Meh, kinda bad. Not really interesting, since it's 30%. Now, if this is actually bugged and it would say, you know, 90% for 4 seconds, then this would be actually good. Here we got reduce the cooldown of dispersion by 40 seconds. This is really good, really good, and you'll see why in a second. This is so stupid. Overhealing from Vampiric Touch will grant you an absorb shield up to 15% of total health. I don't think this is too good in PvP. It might be good in PvE. 15% is pretty low. Shadow Mend now heals for 20% more, and you take 40% less damage from the backlash. If the backlash, aka the dot, still has the same duration, but it does less damage, then this is going to be really good. I like it. If not, then again it depends if the backlash actually breaks dots or if it doesn't. If it does not break dots, then we might go masochism, which completely negates that, and then this talent becomes just a 20% increased healing, which is still pretty good. So yeah, let's move on. We've got Void Corruption. Mind Seer causes targets with your Shadow Word, Pain, or Vampiric Touch effects to immediately take 50% of the tick of their damage. Now this is interesting because I'm not sure if the damage they take, this 50% of a tick, is it considered actually dot damage or is it considered Mind Seer damage? Because like, what if this half a tick crits for Shadow Word Pain? Does that mean I summon a Shadowy Apparition? I think it might. And if we combine it with this one, I know I'm jumping a lot, but let's do it. Now, Vampiric Touch critical strikes have a 40% chance to proc Shadowy Apparitions. So if I have like some targets fully dotted and then I do Mind Seer, I'm gonna get a lot of crits. That means I'm gonna get a ton of Shadowy Apparitions, and then I can spec this and have, you know, my Shadow Apparitions deal more damage, and it's just lots of fun. So this is really cool. I like it. It works good with Psychic Link as well for AoE damage. We'll get into builds in the next video, okay? Alright, let's move on. This one right here below my mouse is retarded. Now we have a lot of just damage increasing ones. These are pretty boring. So it increases the damage Shadow Word Pain by 13%, increases the damage of Shadow Word Death by 13%, Mind Blast as well. This one's gonna be good. Vampiric Touch damage increased by 13%. And I'm gonna save this one like as an epic one because it is epic. Alright, let's see this one. You summon a Faceless Void form to aid you in battle for 12 seconds, who casts devastating void spells at your target, replaces Shadow Fiend. This sounds cool. Like I don't know what the cooldown is. It says replaces Shadow Fiend, so it might be a 3-minute cooldown and just a 12-second cast, which might make it like super OP, but also like CCable, so we'll see. Next up, we've got Sphere of Insanity. When you enter Void form, you summon a Void Sphere for 15 seconds, and while the sphere is active, 25% of all direct damage dealt is additionally dealt to any target with Shadow Word Pain on them. That means it's another super serious AoE spell. Like in an RPG, you go with this talent here, Mind Trauma. You Mind Seer a lot of people, so you put Shadow Word Pain on everyone, and then you go into Void form, and you just blow someone up with Void Bolt and all that other shit, and all the damage you do is dealt to everyone, or 25% of it. So it's an AoE thing. It's pretty cool. And then this one is each stack of Void form increases the damage of Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch by 5%. Again, I have no idea what Void form stacks are, but okay. And here we come to the epic conclusion, the best thing here, which is definitely gonna get changed. This cannot be in PvP. Dispersion now heals you for 100% of your maximum health over its duration. So this is Lay on Hands, and if you have this, it means you have a 1 minute and 20 second cooldown dispersion that heals you for 100% of your maximum health. I'd like to see this simply because it would be so insanely OP. Holy shit, like we have so much healing. We have this shit on top of everything else. We've got Void Lord, which increases our healing in Void form by 40%. And we have this here that increases like all the damage we deal, like half of the damage we deal, we get back as a heal. over 5 seconds after casting Power Word Chill on yourself. Obviously, you can cast Power Word Chill on yourself every 8 seconds, so this is insane. That's about it. This video is getting pretty long as well. If you had the strength to go through all this video, like if you managed to go through till the end, then type in the comments Hakuna Matata, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Yep, that's it. Cheers for watching and peace. See ya.